Oh, hello there. Yes, well, very midweek, isn't it? Yes. Still, much enjoyment still to be had with the reform spat. Yes, good to see various people are seeing opportunities there because, after all, if you can't appeal to, well, let's say mildly racist people, you might as well split off and appeal to the extremely racist people. But the problem is that if you do split off to appeal to the extremely racist people, then there might well be a peeling off of the enormously racist people, and then you'll have to start all over again. Still, I don't care because we seem to have governments that, well, let's face it, just are enormously right wing. Anyway, yes. Yes, we've had the joys of the Labour Party, who, if nothing else, were voted in on the mandate for change, who have decided that actually the thing that they need to do is be just exactly like the Tories, because, well, like those of us on the left said for a long period of time about a Starmer government, they wouldn't do anything whatsoever, and in fact everyone would just gradually become poorer because that is the system. That is late capitalism for you in a nutshell. You have to be poorer, particularly if you're at the bottom end of the pile. So obviously you need to go for PIP payments because, well, they are probably the most means tested of any disability allowances, and basically there's no fraud involved in them whatsoever. But at least it can persuade you who is working that the other person who is working but is in a wheelchair is somehow less worthy than you. Of course they are. I wonder how much that wheelchair cost, eh? How much do they cost, those things? Yes. Still, whilst we're arguing about the cost of wheelchairs, of course, we're not noticing anything else. No. There was a very sensible piece in the Financial Times yesterday, linked down below if you can manage to access it, which basically said there are ways you can reform welfare and do it gradually and make work pay. You can do that, or you can just decide to, make the people at the bottom a lot worse off, because we've seen exactly how brilliantly that has happened and worked for the last 15 years. And obviously, if it's worked so well in the last 15 years, you need to do a lot more of it. Or, of course, you could put your faith in Reform, who will vote for any changes like that anyway. Because, hey, that's the system we live under. Odd, isn't it, that I am a member of the nasty establishment and yet at the same time sound quite insurgent? Yes. Anyway, the way that you can do it, of course, is to make capitalism work. And the way that you make capitalism work is you basically bring it under very tight regulatory control by the state, as shown by China. China, they're awful, aren't they? Yes, all those people that complain bitterly that there's no free speech in this country also complain bitterly that the Chinese don't have free speech, and yet, well, I don't know, they can't both be true, can they? Yes, they complain bitterly that Keir Starmer is a nasty socialist, and they definitely don't want to live under that nasty socialists or communists that are in China. But the Chinese have ways of doing things, and they basically know how to run an economy. So we get this again from the FT. Chinese delivery platforms compete to offer better worker benefits. Yes, wouldn't it be nice to see a headline like that in the UK? Obviously not with China, it would be with the UK. Leading players act as competition intensifies, and Beijing points out their national responsibility. Yes, in other words, people will be paid who have moved from the manufacturing sector into sort of the gig economy will be paid guaranteed amounts, because the Chinese government recognises that if you want to run capitalism to make it work for everybody, you have to run capitalism to make it work for everybody. Yes, Keir Starmer and Reform and everyone else, please take note. Now, you can complain bitterly about how repressive the the Chinese are. I don't really care. All governments in their own particular way are seeing, if you're a libertarian bent, are basically fascist, nasty people. But, the Chinese, yeah, okay, they do tend to crush dissent, but we do it in this country as well. I can show you numerous examples from the left, and other people will show you numerous examples from the right. They do crack down on minorities. Yeah, so do we. Listen to all those baying voices at the moment for remigration. And, they do tend to be quite warlike in a lot of ways, yes, but there again, so are we, aren't we? Just think about the blind eye that we turn to genocide in Gaza and the way that we arm the Israeli state and assist in that. But the Chinese know how to grow an economy for the benefit of all. And you can argue X, Y, and Z about the Chinese government, but they have delivered the economic goods for their people in ways that, well, the British state simply hasn't, has it? Oh, if only we were allowed the British state to unleash us from all this regulatory control. Yes, and I would agree with you, but that's only at the bottom. If you actually want people to be entrepreneurial, Let's see it from the bottom. If you believe in meritocracy, let's see it from the bottom. Make the people at the bottom richer, give them more fulfilling lives, enable them to have action in the economy, and you'd be amazed what they can come up with. But no, 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 no. What we'll do is we'll just create a tiny handful of trillionaires, and nothing will work, and everything will have to be cut, and everyone will be poor, and everybody will suddenly, at some stage, realise that maybe something needs to change, and somehow voting for Reform version 1 or Reform version 2 or Reform version 3 isn't going to cut it. Do have a glorious Wednesday if you can. Stay warm, stay dry, stay whichever political ideology you particularly believe in. Me, I don't know anymore, really, to be quite honest. What am I? I don't know. I'm a radical Democrat, I think. Yes. Might start my own party. Yeah, I imagine that Rupert Lowe's looking for a home. Might not have him, though. Might not.